Hi guys and welcome back to the studio. Today we are going to glaze the Love collection. If you haven't seen it yet, I also made a video where I made this Love collection. So I did the throwing, trimming, attaching handles, and I also carved some hearts in these mugs. So if you haven't seen that video yet, I would definitely check it out. In that video I'm also talking a little bit more about my New Year's resolutions and those kind of things while I'm making this collection. So I would definitely check out that video. But in this video I'm going to glaze it. Everything has been bisque fired and everything survived and nothing really weird happened, so that's nice. I'm just going to play with some underglazes and probably be painting some little hearts on it. And maybe also do something with lines and maybe some dots. I'm not entirely sure yet. I'm kind of going with the flow and see where that ends up. I think that will be cute if it's just like a little bit playful. And not too planned out. I'm going to start off with this heart-shaped ball. This ball is the widest ball that I have, so I thought it would be fun to do something on the inside. Now I'm going to use this brush, and this brush has very long hairs, and the great thing about that is that it holds a lot of glaze, and because of that you can make longer lines of glaze, so you can paint longer lines. And with this one I'm going to paint a lot of lines going from the middle outwards all the way to the top. I'm just going to do that all over the inside, and then later on I will also be doing that on the outside and make lines like that. And I think that will just look cute all together. So yeah, quite easy to do, but I think it will look quite fun and quite cute. While I'm working on glazing these pieces, I thought I'd just talk to you a little bit again, just like I did in the previous video where I made this collection. People enjoyed watching that video and enjoyed me talking a little bit more about my life and about my New Year's resolutions. So I thought I'd just continue talking about those things and talking about my life a little bit more while I'm working on projects like this. So I think for this year I'm just going to be doing like collections like this, and then I'm going to also talk more about other stuff while I'm working on it. And I will also be making my regular instruction videos. So while working on these pieces, I thought let's talk a little bit more about how my New Year's resolutions are going. Yeah, at the moment that I'm glazing this, it is like the beginning of February, so January is in the past. It went really quickly. In my opinion, it went really quickly. I talked about this with some friends and they felt like January was just taking very long. But me, on the other hand, I felt like it went by very fast. I feel like I wanted to do like 100 more things, and I kind of feel like I haven't done enough. But on the other hand, if I like look at my agenda, it's like filled with things that I did, and with work related things and also social life related things. So I've actually been very busy and I've actually done a lot of things, but I feel like I wanted to do even more. In my last video I also talked about wanting to take things slow, which I have been doing, but for some reason a part of me has kind of been having stress or something. It's not like really stress. It's not like, how do you explain that? I hope this makes sense to anyone, and I hope anyone may relate to this, otherwise it may sound weird. But like, I'm not like necessarily stressed, but I just have a stressed feeling inside of my body or inside of my head and my body, depending on the moment a little bit, about not doing enough or not working fast enough or not working enough or not doing enough. And like, it was my New Year's resolution to just take things slow and relax a little bit, but I feel like if I relax too much, it kind of doesn't work for me, and I just feel like I'm not doing enough, if that makes sense. But even if I'm doing things and I'm just taking them slow, I still feel pressure to do them quickly for some reason. So for example, for this collection, I am trying to just take my time, and I'm just spending a whole day just having fun with underglazes and not trying to do anything too fast and just going with it and just enjoying my time working on it. And that's going quite well. I am really enjoying doing this, but I also still feel like I should just be making more or making things faster or making bigger things or whatever. I feel like I'm not doing enough for some reason, and I'm not entirely sure what to do about that. I hope that makes sense. It's still a little bit weird to talk about these things, but I feel like that way you can kind of get to know me a little bit better, and that way it can also be relatable if you maybe struggle with this, if you also are like a creative in this field, or just life in general. Maybe it's not necessarily connected to making things, but in my case it is, because I'm like an artist or whatever. I'm not entirely sure how to call myself, honestly. So yeah, I've kind of felt pressure to work harder, and maybe next month I am going to work little bit more, even though I did quite some work, but I also just took my time for things. That's just because, it's also because life has just been moving so fast that I feel like I'm kind of behind on things. I think that's also the case, because like now I'm glazing this collection in February, but I actually wanted to have it finished in January. And yeah, like there isn't really a problem, because it really doesn't matter whenever I finish this project or not. But in some way I feel pressured, even though it's not that important. So maybe I just like need to take a step back and look at my life from a little bit further away. Like sometimes I'm so focused on working on a project that I'm so like in my head, I'm just constantly working on a project, even if I'm not working on it. Then I sometimes just kind of get lost in the project, if that makes sense, and then I can't really see it from afar or something. Like it becomes a bigger thing in my head than it is. I hope that makes sense. But like it becomes like this big important thing, even though it's just me making some random mugs out of clay. So really, like, what are we talking about? It is not important at all. Doesn't really matter. I mean, of course I enjoy it. I also enjoy making a video about it and all of that. Like, I mean, it is important in a way because I enjoy it and it is something that I do. But like on the other hand, like life is just more complicated, so it's also not that important. If that makes sense. Now it may sound like I'm struggling with life or something, and maybe I am a little bit. Yeah, I may be. But like, I'm also just enjoying life, so I don't really know what else to do. Like, okay, this may be becoming a little bit of too deep of a story, but like, I think a lot about life and what I want to do with life and what I want to achieve in life. Yeah, but that's like a whole other story. I can just keep talking about that for hours, I think. But overall, for January, I feel like I've been just pressuring myself to work more than I am, or like faster than I am. And I am kind of doubting whether I should just work faster and not feel like I should work faster, even though maybe if I work more and work more productive and work faster, I may still feel that way, so it may not change. But of course there is a chance that if I do change the way I work, or if I do start working faster and more, that feeling goes away. But I'm not entirely sure if that would make me more happy, if that makes sense. So maybe I should just continue working at a slower pace as I've been doing last month, and maybe that feeling of having to work harder will kind of go away over time, but I'm not entirely sure. That I'm kind of struggling with that. I hope that makes some sense to you. It may be relatable, but yeah, I hope so, otherwise this doesn't really make sense. But yeah, I just thought I'd talk about that for a little bit, because that's something that's like been going on in my head. And right now it's maybe like all over the place and the story doesn't make any sense. But I'm also just experimenting with making videos like this at the moment, where I'm just rambling and talking about things that I'm thinking about and what life feels like at the moment, because I feel like it's interesting to share. I don't know why, but I just think it's interesting to talk about those kind of things. And maybe you do too. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're like, why are you talking? Just shut up and just let me look at how you glaze these ceramics. Then I'm sorry that I keep talking. But yeah, for me, I'm now just also kind of experimenting this way of making videos and this way of talking about things. And now they're maybe a little bit all over the place, and that's also because maybe I am kind of all over the place. So maybe this video kind of matches the vibe of my head, but I'm kind of trying to work out a way of making this video and talk about different subjects, and then maybe later this year I've kind of figured out how to do that in a more structured way, and then I may like talk about different subjects while working on ceramic projects at the same time, in a way that makes sense. But maybe this already makes sense. Let me know in the comments if this makes sense, because sometimes I feel like it doesn't make sense, but I'm also not entirely sure how to do it differently so that it makes sense, if that makes sense. So maybe let me know in the comments if you care. If you don't care, just continue watching me glaze these pieces. Yeah, so I think I've talked enough about life. But yeah, overall, this may sound not very happy, but I am very happy. I have a great life and I'm really enjoying it, and I'm enjoying making this collection. I'm also really looking forward to the next collection that I'm going to make. The next collection is going to be a flower collection. I feel like I'm kind of doubting between flowers or spring, but I think I'm just going to do some separate project videos about spring, but make the collection a flower collection. and only work in flower shapes and decorate with flowers. I think that's going to be a lot of fun and I'm really looking forward to it, but I first have to finish this project. Sometimes I'm like ahead in my head, is that how you say it? I'm not sure. Sometimes I feel like I want to already start with the next project, but I still have to finish the previous project, and I feel like a lot of creatives have that, and that's also why a lot of creatives never really finish projects or often don't finish projects. But I also want to finish projects. I cannot not finish projects in some way. So I am now finishing this love collection, but in my head I'm also already looking forward to the next collection. And that's also kind of why I want to kind of hurry with this collection so that I can start with the next one, but it doesn't really make sense because I can also just start a week or a few days later on the next collection, so it doesn't really make sense. But I hope that my little talk made some sense. I'm sorry if it didn't. I'm going to do a little bit of experimenting with this one because I want to keep it fun and not make everything too much the same. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to take this piece of paper, which I cut out as a heart. It is actually the same piece of paper that I used to carve the hearts out of the mugs. But now I'm going to wet this piece of paper and I'm going to stick it to the bottom of the cup, and hopefully it will stick well enough with just water, and then I'm going to glaze around it with red glaze so that you like see the shape of the heart that is unglazed after removing the paper. I'm not entirely sure if the paper will stick well enough with just water, but we're going to find out. Okay, so the piece of paper is at the bottom, but I feel like if it dries, it isn't stuck anymore because the biscuified piece takes up the water from the heart. But now I'm just going to take a brush. Here I have a brush and some water, and I'm just going to put some extra water on the heart and kind of stick the heart onto the biscuified piece and just completely soak it in water. So just like this, I now have the piece of paper stuck to the bottom, and hopefully it's not going to move when I'm going to brush on the underglaze. Now I'm just immediately going to apply the glaze. I hope this is going to work. If it's not going to work, well, it is what it is. We'll see. I just wanted to try this out. So I'm just grabbing some glaze. The glaze is a little bit watery from the water on the bottom, but I think that will be just fine. So just like this, I'm applying glaze over the rim of the heart. I hope that will look cute in the end, but we'll see what happens. So for now I'm just going to let it dry, and then I'll get back to this one in a bit and we'll see what it looks like. I'm quite excited to see, yeah, if it worked or not. In the meantime, I've been working on a heart ball that I'm going to give to my boyfriend for Valentine's Day. I made blue and yellow hearts on the outside, and I made blue and yellow dots on the rim here, and on the inside I made a little cloud with a little sun. Thought I'd show you because I think it turned out quite cute. In the meantime, this one with the piece of paper in it has dried, so now I'm going to take it out and we'll see if it worked or not. I hope it did. So I'm using this little hook from my needle tool to take it out. Try to lift it. Like before it just didn't want to stick, now it's sticking bit too well. Okay. Okay, so it isn't as sharp as I hoped it would be. Okay, so it is a heart. You can see that it's a heart, so it didn't fill completely, but it just didn't stick well enough at the sides. And because it was wet, the glaze kind of got into the water and also got into the paper, and that's why the rim isn't as sharp as I wanted it to be. But I think it still looks quite cool and it looks a little bit alive, and I do like that, so I'm quite happy with how that turned out. The outside is a little bit boring, so what I thought would be nice is to make the same lines that I made on the side of the heart here also on the outside. So I'm just going to make some random lines here so that the inside and the outside kind of work together, if that makes sense. glazing this collection. Okay. I think it looks really cute. I'm very happy with how this turned out and I really can't wait to see it coming out of the kiln. I'm now going to put 2 coats of clear glaze on top of all of the pieces, so that will also be quite some work. But yeah, I'm just going to do that and then I'm going to clean the bottoms and then they can finally go into the kiln. Then the last one, and then everything is going into the kiln tomorrow morning. So now it will just dry completely overnight and then tomorrow morning I will load the kiln and we will be able to see the final results in 2 days. And here are the final results. I'm very happy with how this collection turned out and I hope you like it too. I really enjoyed filming the process and taking you along and I hope you liked seeing everything too. Let me know in the comments which of these pieces is your favorite, and furthermore I wish you a nice week and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye!